Hey everybody, welcome to the Private Club Radio Show, where we give you the scoop on all things private golf and country clubs, from mastering leadership and management, food and beverage excellence, member engagement secrets, board governance, and everything in between, all while keeping it fun and light. Whether you're a club veteran just getting your feet wet or somewhere in the middle, you are in the right place. I'm your host, Denny Corby. Welcome to the show. This episode is a little bit different, because we're not necessarily talking about clubs, club management, but how we can help our members, specifically our men members, in a really unique way. We are diving into a topic that I don't think a lot of people, mostly men, think about enough, and that is skincare. Now, I'll be honest, I used to still a little bit struggle with bad skin myself when I was in high school and when I was younger. Had really bad acne, went through a course of Accutane for a while. So I've become very picky and particular about what products go on my body and, more importantly, my face. I'm also very weird with how things feel on my body, and especially my face when it comes to different products. I forget what that thing is called, but there's a name for it. But like, I'm very particular of how things feel on my body, especially on my face, and when it comes to face and skin products. So I got connected with our guest for this episode, Paul Landon, who has a phenomenal skincare brand called Magnolia League. Now, I was introduced to Paul through our mutual friend, Kevin Bozada, who's down at Augusta. If you know Kevin, fantastic person. So he linked me up with his buddy, Paul. He said, hey, I got something you might be interested in. And I'll be honest, this is an episode a little bit longer in the making, because I thought if I'm going to talk about a product, especially a skin product, I want to use it for a little bit of time. I want to use it for a while. And that's what I told Paul. I said, hey, listen, it's not going to be an immediate thing. I want to try the product. I want to test it. I want to use it. And then I'll come on and talk about it. And this is a great product. I absolutely love it. Magnolia League really steps it up. I enjoy the product. I like the smell, the textures, everything about it. And the final test I just had, I was just in Mexico, and I did put on sunscreen. Parts of my body did get burned, but the part of my body that did not get burned was my face, because I used the Magnolia League face moisturizer with a really good SPF in it. So I was seriously very impressed. So in this episode, Paul's going to talk about his journey, his story with Magnolia League, how it all came about, his own struggles with skincare, which led him to create a high quality line specifically for guys, especially those who spend time outdoors playing golf. And we talk about the lack of skincare and skincare regimens and facial protection that men use when golfing. It's like we almost think it's like a rite of passage to not put stuff on our face to protect our bodies. And the older I get, the more I get more concerned and worry about our bodies, what goes in, what goes on, all of that stuff. This is a great episode. And there's a special offer. If you enjoy the episode and you get something out of it and you want the product, you can click the link in the show notes for 10% off your order. And if you're a club and you're interested in bringing in Magnolia League to your club and would like some free samples and would like to learn more, hit me up. hello@privateclubradio.com for more info. I will link you up with Paul, and you will get the best treatment, I promise. And he also does some white label stuff for clubs as well. So this is a fantastic episode. I'm really genuinely happy to be bringing this to you all, our listeners, and to be talking about this amazing product, because something that we should be caring about more and talking about more is skincare health, especially for our members, because they're out there golfing, and the more we can keep them out there golfing and looking better, the more they're going to enjoy our clubs. So Private Club Radio listeners, let's welcome to the show our friend Paul Landon from Magnolia League. I was surprised. I shouldn't say surprised, but because we got linked up through Kevin from Augusta, and when he was like, oh, like my buddy has skin stuff, in my head I was like, oh, here we go, because I think like everyone, in my head I was like, oh, it's probably going to be like, hopefully it's not some network marketing stuff. But no, it was like, and then I was like, oh, it's probably just some like white labeled stuff that's just a mega factory, and you just put your own, like, slap the logo on it. I'm like, oh snap! Like this is a legit thing. This is like well thought out. There's it's like customized. Like, it's solving a very specific problem, and it's a very good product. I was good, happy surprised with all that. How did this even come about? Like when did you get into skincare?
Yeah, for sure. First off, I'm really glad to hear that you like the products and glad to hear that we were not a pyramid scheme that Kevin was selling you on. So that's for sure.
Well, no, because it
uh,
wasn't like a dig at all. It's just like one of those. We
no,
probably
totally
all
get
like
it.
gotten like those like messages like, "Hey, my," and I'm like, "Oh no." No, so it was just like, oh, but
100%.
then like,
Yeah,
once, and I'm really particular with my product, but the stuff that I use, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yes, how do you even get into skincare and men's, like how do you even care about this?
for sure. So to start, since I was a kid, I always loved sports and outdoors, and I was interested in health. I loved social connections and being with my friends. And I was interested in self improvement or development, you could say. So at an early age, I was kind of biohacking before that was even a thing, and in high school, paying attention to ingredients and nutrition and different supplements that could boost my performance. Um, but around that time, as well as the college years, I was frustrated with bad skin and acne. And at the time, there weren't a whole lot of solutions, especially for men, on the market. Um, and also, to make matters worse, when I would go outside and play sports and sweat for hours in the sun, this seemed to make things even worse. So I got interested in skincare, and the idea was planted. Well, really, I guess there were three key events, which help summarize what led to the founding of Magnolia League. But the first key event was right after college. My first job was in Seoul, Korea. And if you're not familiar, this is known as the skincare capital of the world, and is known for their innovative products and approach to skincare. And to this day, they still often have the leading products and are thought as the biggest
I did not
innovator
know that.
in that field. So yeah, the more you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, living over there for a year, I noticed not just the products were a lot better, but it was a different approach. And most men had adopted at least a basic routine and would say, well, if you could invest 5 minutes a day and it would help you look better and feel better and be more confident, this is going to positively impact social relationships and your career and a host of other things. So why wouldn't you do it? And that made a lot of sense to me. So I went over to Seoul and my skin got a lot better. And that's what planted the seed, especially when I came back to America, to my home, and noticed the men's market still hadn't evolved much. And I thought, hey, this could be a big opportunity, or this is a big need that I have that I know a lot of my friends have. And there might be something there. But initially, I was focused on building my career in the technology industry, where I worked for a little over 10 years for companies like Salesforce and Oracle. Um, and after doing that for a few years, the second key event happened. And being somebody who loves sports and taking on new challenges, I got into triathlons and I was training for half Ironmans and races like that. And I started talking to athletes about their training. And I was surprised to learn that in addition to nutrition and diet and a host of other things, they were paying attention to skincare products and personal care products and making sure that they were clean. And I was surprised by this. So I asked them, why is that? Or what is it that you're worried about in common personal care? And they said, well, there's a lot of harmful toxic chemicals that are in the majority of personal care products that you're probably using. And then I soon learned that the average person is exposed to over 126 toxic chemicals a day, unique toxic chemicals from their personal care, which I imagine we'll get to a little bit later in the show. But that's what opened my eyes to the importance of clean skincare, and that it's damaging performance, that it's damaging your overall health as well as your skin, and rapidly increasing the signs of aging and drying it out, making it irritated, especially when you're doing triathlons or playing golf and you're exposing yourself to the elements, water, wind, sun, etc., for hours a day. So that got me interested in clean skincare, and I started paying a lot more attention to the ingredients and so forth. And then the final third event that brought everything together was a couple years ago. You started by talking about our mutual friend Kevin out in Augusta. So I was with Kevin and some of our other close friends. We take this golf trip every year, which is something we always look forward to. And we do a couple days of golf, and all being athletes, we love to get outside. We're playing basketball, we're in the pool, whatever. But I started to notice that guys' skin was starting to get damaged, and they were complaining about sunburns and dryness, and all of a sudden their skin was really sensitive, and they didn't want to use the products that were available because it was drying them out further, or you had these goopy chemical filter sunscreens that made the club slip, or mixed with the sweat and caused a burning sensation in your eyes, or felt really heavy. So that just exasperated matters. And that's when I put everything together, and it kind of tied back to the things I was interested in as a kid. You know, I wanted to encourage social relationships. I wanted people to better themselves, better their health, and inspire an active life that was spent outdoors. So that's when things started to come together. And also, I believe you had a recent guest, Sarah Mueller, who was talking about fulfillment and finding joy in your life and listening to yourself and taking radical responsibility. So after working in the tech industry for about 10 years, I was starting to get a little bit burned out and was starting to miss some of that joy in my life. So it was on those trips and on those getting outside and social connection and helping guys improve themselves that started to find that joy again, and kind of remembered what I've been passionate about all along. So that's when everything came together. And then one more final piece I'll mention. I saw a lot of brands out there were kind of generic, you know. I feel like about a quarter of them have the name Jack in the title, for example. So I wanted to make something that was authentic, and I wanted to use emotional storytelling to connect with people, which also transferred into the sensory experience. So how it smells, how it feels, and be able to tell the story about these sporting experiences or outdoor experiences, like being at Augusta in April when the magnolias and azaleas are in bloom, or being in Sea Island in Georgia and just having this sun-kissed, ocean-kissed, healthy glow in your skin, which translates itself to how our ingredients smell, the unique ingredients that are providing function, as well as the branding and storytelling, so people can connect to it. And being based in Atlanta, these are experiences that are important to me and my family, but also a lot of other people. So we wanted to represent them, and have something that people could connect to beyond just the products themselves.
Yeah, I had horrible skin in high school. I was on like Accutane. I did like I don't know
Right.
how many rounds of that. If you don't know what Accutane is, it just depletes all oil from your body. And it was
Totally.
brutal. It was brutal. And then at this point, I was living in Boston, and it was just so cold. Like I was just carrying
Oh man.
moisturizer around with me. Like and going back, this was, oh God, now what, 20 years ago? Oh my God. Well, it was a while ago. Little bit less than that. But and I remember like there wasn't much for like a young man or just like men like product to use. And like to me, like I'm very weird with like my skin. It probably goes back to having all the acne and stuff. Like I'm particular like about stuff, and if things are too like thick on my face, I feel like claustrophobic. Like I hate it. So at one point, I think like Dove had this moisturizer that was like super light, but then they just discontinued it, and I forget what I would use like on and off. But you mentioned Jack. I am a reformed now reformed Jack Black user, because it's same thing. Like it's hard to find something that's more appealing to like the male, but also sometimes when you get to, even if it's a good female product, it has like a scent or like something to it. It's just like
Right.
and that's why I like your stuff, because it doesn't really have a smell, and if it does, it's not a like I oddly enjoy. It's like a slight, I don't want to say chemical smell, I don't know if that's the right word, but like whatever it is, I'm like, oh, okay, like I enjoy this, and it's like super light on the face, which is really good too. But I remember when we first talked, you made a really interesting point of how like people will they'll hydrate after the game, they'll wear the protective clothing, but they won't protect the skin. Like they'll make sure
Right.
like the polos like will protect, but like they won't put anything on their face, which is like the most important asset.
I know the more I looked into it, the crazier it seems like a no-brainer. Like going out and playing golf without sunscreen is like playing football without a helmet. And so many things in the game or at clubs have evolved and modernized, from performance fabrics in your polo to wellness amenities to offering natural, organic, higher quality food. But for some reason, skincare isn't really associated with sports, which again seems like a no brainer. Um, but I believe only 25% of golfers wear sunscreen regularly, and 1 out of 3 will not put on sunscreen in favor of getting a tan, which is a common misnomer. And that's just seems nuts because golfers are exposed to more than double the amount of UV radiation as just your average person. They're more than double at risk for getting skin cancer. Men in general are about double the risk of getting skin cancer versus women. But beyond serious health issues, it's also really damaging for your skin. So when people ask me, what's your number one tip for improving your skin, it's always wear sunscreen daily, because that's going to be the best way to protect against premature signs of aging and keep your skin healthy and balanced and help achieve what should be the number one goal, which is protect your skin barrier. And that's connected to your overall health, right? As well as your peace of mind and your mental health. So if you're out there and you're feeling burned and your skin is dehydrated or irritated, or it's heavy or goopy, like you mentioned, you're not going to play as well. You're not going to enjoy it as much, or at the very least, it's going to be something on your mind that will be distracting and make you feel a little bit more uncomfortable. And for your listeners, I imagine that that might affect the amount of time they're spending at the club or their enjoyment or their connection to the community. So I'm glad you brought that up, Denny. That's a really big point. And once I realized this, I thought, why isn't this just automatically associated with golfers and outdoor athletes?
I think over like the past couple of years, just the ingredients of what's inside of things, and looking at what's good for the skin, what's bad for the skin. What are some ingredients and things that you've learned from Korea and just from doing this in general? What are just like some like the top ingredients people should look for when it comes to skincare?
Yeah, that's a great question, Denny. And I think the place to start is to think about what the primary goals of achieving skin health are, and what ideally you want your skincare products to help you achieve. So I would sum it up into 4 primary goals that you want to have. So one, you want to protect your skin barrier. This should probably be your number one priority, because when your skin barrier is damaged, that throws your skin as well as potentially your health out of whack and causes all sorts of problems. So you want to protect. Number 2, you want to hydrate and maintain or supplement your skin's moisture. Number 3, you want to soothe and reduce inflammation to prevent issues such as excess dryness or sensitivity, or more serious issues such as psoriasis. And number 4, you want to restore, rejuvenate, and repair your skin. So kind of like after a vigorous workout or a round of golf, you would drink a Gatorade or put some electrolytes in your system to help your body restore. That's what you want to do when you rejuvenate. So I would start with those 4 goals, and that's how we selected our ingredients. Another key component of how we selected our ingredients was looking for these skin superfoods, or these hero ingredients that performed a number of those functions and were effective in a number of different ways. And your listeners can see a full list in the playbook, which will be available to them after the show. But just to provide some examples of what those hero ingredients are, vitamin C is a great example. This is an anti-aging powerhouse that is going to help brighten, tone your skin, reduce signs of aging, as well as being a potent antioxidant, which is going to help you protect and repair damage from the elements. Another good example is aloe vera, which is super hydrating. It's great as an anti-inflammatory, and it's also going to help you balance and rejuvenate your skin. A couple other examples, I could list off many, but some of the more obscure ones that maybe you haven't heard of that we've included in our products and also tied into our larger brand story, come from unique sources such as ocean ingredients, ocean minerals, sea algae, spirulina,
Like,
which
how do you even
is
know these are good? Like, this is crazy. Like, if you told me like, oh, sea algae, I'd be like, get out of here. Like, how do you know these are good? Like, how does the industry know this is like good?
one way you can know, and this is probably the best way, is you can look at scientific studies that were done. But if you want to think of it one way, or maybe you've been told by other people, like you should go into the ocean because the salt water is good for your skin. Or a lot of people say the Dead Sea has these almost mythical healing properties about it. And when you give your body electrolytes, it's essentially salt and minerals that you are using to repair your body. Same thing with ocean minerals or ocean nutrients for your skin. So you're replenishing essential nutrients and minerals, which is going to help repair your skin barrier, help rejuvenate it. And just like having a great day at the beach where you're protecting your skin, of course, you kind of come out with this glowing, healthy skin about it. So that's one example. Another example is reishi mushroom, which has been used for over a century and is known as the plant of immortality for its healing properties. Turns out it actually works really well for your skin, and supports skin immunity, is a powerhouse when it comes to reducing signs of aging. So there's a lot of ingredients like that are out there, but overall look for active hero ingredients that are going to perform those functions to protect, hydrate, soothe, and restore your skin.
Are there any ingredients to stay away? I don't maybe not stay away from, but like if you're looking at a product, or if you have the option or a choice, and you have like one or the other, like one has like XYZ or like X ingredient, is there anything to like, when it comes to just at least maybe like a moisturizer or something? Because sometimes a product might be good in one thing for that specific use. So going back, I might be answering my own question, but just like in general, is there like anything that's like really just not good for the skin that tends to be in a lot of
Sure.
products?
Yeah. That's a great question, Denny. And I'm glad you brought that up. You're probably familiar with the term clean skincare, especially as one who has become interested in the skincare game. And some people might think it's a bit of a buzzword, and it certainly can be, but there's a lot of reasoning behind that. And as I mentioned at the start of the show, I got interested in clean skincare because top athletes were telling me this is damaging our performance, this is damaging your health. And if nothing else, this is damaging your skin or irritating it. And it turns out that 60% of men's personal care products are full of harsh, toxic chemicals. And I'll list off a few here in a second. And as I mentioned earlier, your average person is exposed to over 126 unique chemicals per day. And these toxic chemicals, such as phthalates, parabens, sulfates, synthetic fragrances, they're damaging hormones, they're damaging thyroid function, and synthetic fragrances are the number one cause of skin sensitivity, which has risen sharply in the last 5 to 10 years. And a recent study showed that 73% of all adults in America now report skin sensitivity, which is a pretty new phenomenon. About 20 years ago, nobody was reporting that. And many people link that to the harsh toxic chemicals that are in our products. So what are the ones that you should avoid or look out for, or at least be aware of? You can take a look at our playbook to see a full list, but just to provide some examples of the common ones or ones that perhaps you've heard of. As I mentioned, synthetic fragrances, that was something that we made sure to formulate without, especially for golfers and outdoor athletes, being the number one cause of skin sensitivity and allergic reactions. It can cause cough. It can cause your asthma to flare up. It can cause sneezy, itchy, runny eyes. It can also wear down your skin barrier and make you a lot more sensitive to other ingredients.
And people just put it in the product just because they want it to smell nice
Because it smells
or
nice.
smell
Yeah.
different or
Yeah.
more masculine or whatever.
Exactly. Right. And people certainly care a lot about smell. I mean, I care a lot about smell too. People don't realize that synthetic fragrances are causing these problems and making their skin flare up or causing allergic reactions. So that's one, and something that we avoid. A couple others, phthalates, which are often abbreviated as DEP or DMP. This has been linked to damaging your thyroid function as well as hormonal issues. Sulfates, you may have heard of, which is a common foaming agent. That's a potential carcinogen. So this can link to serious issues. Not to say it's going to cause these, but I mean, in the same way, just like eating Oreos or a bag of Doritos, it's not going to make you obese or give you heart issues overnight. But do you want to put that in your body? Probably not. Or do you want to put that in your body consistently day after day?
Only if they're
Probably
fried.
not. Only if they're fried. Yeah, maybe if you go to the county fair, it's hard for me to resist a deep fried Oreo as well. So I don't blame you for that. Every once in a while, that's totally fine. Sulfates are going to dry up your skin. You want to avoid those. That's parabens are in 75% of products, speed up skin aging. DEA related ingredients, which is often used as a creamer in chemical filter sunscreens. It's actually banned in the EU because of the serious health damage it's been linked to. So those are a few examples of ingredients you should certainly watch out for. And hopefully, if you take nothing else away, that clean skincare is important, and you should definitely monitor what's going in your body because skin health affects your overall health.
Yeah. And, and we all go into men's locker rooms and some of the products there, it's like those old classics that are like always cool and good to see, but you're like, are they really the best? And it's becoming a lot more popular. People are more conscious of things just, yeah.
100%. Yeah. And I love the nostalgia of the club classics. But it's interesting. Clubs are modernizing in a lot of different ways and are focusing more on health and holistic wellness and sustainability, and paying attention to member needs and personalizing. But one of the things that seems to lag is going in the men's locker room and seeing the sink, or going into the pro shop and a lot of them aren't offering sunscreen at all, or if they are, it's kind of the drugstore variety that we've been using since we were kids and doesn't have additional functions like hydrating or rejuvenating, or it hasn't really modernized.
And people are already willing and are paying a premium to have that product there. So why not have an actual premium product at a premium price that people are going to enjoy and it's not going to piss them off? I don't know if that's right. No, you know what I mean? Like when you pay a premium for like just something is like cheap, but when it's a product that's like already expensive and it like matches the value, it's like, oh, okay.
100%. Yeah. And that's a great point because since not a whole lot of clubs are doing this or have invested in high-end natural skincare and personal care products, this can be a big differentiator that makes your club stand out, that elevates the member experience because it's something that they notice that not a lot of clubs or not a lot of other facilities are offering. So it definitely helps promote that high-end premium personalized experience that clubs aspire to create, for sure.
So let's talk specifics now. How do you work with clubs? How do clubs work with you? Like, how do you incorporate your products? And like, I know, like I jokingly, joked about white labeling early, which is not a bad thing because people can white label your product as well with their own club logo. But what are some ways you work with clubs, getting the product into the people's hands and the members' hands and all of that?
Yeah, so you can work with us a number of different ways. You can offer our products in the locker room, which also helps supplement offering them in the pro shop, which could potentially be a revenue generator. You could offer them by the pool or really anywhere on site. And in terms of the actual logistics and how we work with the clubs, the first step would probably be checking out the playbook, which is going to be available to listeners, and learning a little bit more about us. Going to our website, magnolialeague.com. On there, you're going to see a link to a wholesale form as well as a direct link to order with our wholesale partners Fair. And then, as you mentioned, we do offer label customization, which helps boost personalization, community, and brand identity within the club. So within a certain order quantity, you are able to add your club logo or mix up the scent. So say you want it to be called Ansley Golf Club, instead of Augusta. That's totally fine. And we understand the importance of personalization and connecting with your members. So that is something that we can offer. And we're very excited to work with clubs. We think this is a slam dunk fit. Our mutual friend in Augusta is helping me get involved in that direction, and connecting me to that community, as are you, which I'm really grateful for. And we're really excited to get more involved, as well as boost the health and experience of your members.
Yeah. And if you're watching and not listening, I've been using the product for well over a month now. Because when we first talked, it was like, hey, I was like, hey, let me try. I want to try. Like, I don't want to talk about the product if I haven't like used it. So I was like, oh, send me some stuff. And like, I thoroughly enjoy the product, and everything was like everything was just so well done. Like the packaging is good, like the smells, the product, like everything is just like, it's a well done product.
Thanks so much, Denny. That's really great to hear, and really glad that it exceeded your expectation and kind of introduced you to this world. And it's been such a pleasure working with you. So really appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, and they have all the moisturizers have SPF, which is good. Everything smells good at lather. Yeah, I was thoroughly impressed. And like awesome. I said, coming as a former Jack Black user, yeah.
It's good to hear. One final thing I'll note is our products are American made. So that also helps boost community and helps promote a local focus, and is harder and more expensive to do. But that was something that was important to us to maintain highest ethical standards. And also America makes the best stuff. And this also reduces our carbon footprint, makes us more environmentally responsible. So proudly made in the USA as well.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, who knows? I'm probably just speaking out of my butt at this point. But when when products are coming from other countries or sitting on ships, which is in the heat, which probably isn't good for this sort of product. Maybe, I don't know. But you know what I mean? It's just sitting longer and in things, and I don't know.
Your assumption is correct. Yeah, and that also leads to the requirement for more preservatives, which are some of those 7 deadly ingredient sins that I mentioned earlier that could potentially be harmful, toxic chemicals, because you're right, it's going to be sitting on ships and shipping containers, and is required to have a larger shelf life for all the transportation it's going through, as well as requires a lot more energy to be able to do that. So it's not sustainable.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on and helping men and their skincare all over the world.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure, Danny. Really enjoyed it. Thanks so much for having me.
Hope you all enjoyed that episode. I know I did. Like I said, if you would like to try Magnolia League, link in the comments for 10% off your first order. And if you're a club looking to bring Magnolia League into your club and you'd like some samples and to chat with Paul, hit me up, hello@privateclubradio.com, and I'll be more than happy to link you up with him and get the ball rolling. That's this episode. Until next time, catch y'all on the flippity flip.